Alright, you can see the time. It is indeed very shortly afterwards that we are making this next episode. In the previous episode, I showed you guys the ugly truth of adapting scripts to suit your purposes. It is not easy, and you often have to do nasty workarounds, unless you're really smart or really dedicated. So, in this episode, we are going to be doing more fun visual stuff. We are going to be making some beautiful particle systems and magic shaders. Okay, basically, if you have something magical, uh, two types. I'm sorry. Let me clarify how this works. So the shader would be for objects that you summon in that are magical, and then the particle system will be kind of like a attack indicator, something that you would put on your character or your enemy to indicate that they are about to do something magical. Let us begin with the, I guess, particle system. And right now you're going to see me kind of winging it because I haven't actually thought at all what I'm going to make the particle system look like in this particular case or in this circumstance. So, what do we do first for any particle system? Well, we come up to game object, and I like to start by creating a 3D, not a 3D object, just create an empty. And we're going to call this magic indicator. Indicator of doom. All right. And what we're going to do is this little magic indicator, we're going to make a child. And to make a particle system or a particle effect, you come down to your empty object. And really you don't need to attach it to an empty object, but I like to put my particles on an empty object so that I have more control over the like rotation and scale and stuff. Anyway though, you come to your object, you right click on it, and then you go to effects and click particle system. And right now you don't see anything because my particle system seems to be super far away for some reason. All right. And then what I like to do in order to kind of not have to deal with any of that stuff is I go into prefabs and then I drag my thing into prefabs. Delete it. And I open it up as a prefab. Then I reset the transform so that it actually is at 0, 0, 0. And now let's see what we got. Okay. So we want to make this a magical indicator. Indicates that our character is about to use magic. Here's what I got as an idea that I made up since the beginning of this video. We're going to have a pause. We're going to have a sprite in the middle, or a picture, an indicator of what type of magic it's going to be. And then we're going to have a ring around it that kind of shrinks in, and once the ring shrinks all the way to the middle, then the magic will be released. So that players can then easily time their dodges. All right, so let's start with the symbol of magical type in the middle. Let us go to the front. And what do we have here? So we're not going to need a shape. And I guess it doesn't matter if we're looking at it from the front, because everything is a billboard. Anyway, so we're only gonna need. We're not gonna. What are we gonna do here? Need that open. First things first, I set everything to 1. I set the duration to 1, I set the start lifetime to 1, and and since this is going to be like in the same spot, we want the speed to be 0 because it doesn't move. We don't need a 3D start size. We can adjust this later when we're actually comparing it to our player and stuff within the scene. Simulation speed, we don't want to mess with that for now. Then we're in our emissions tab, as you can see. We're going to set our rate over time to 0, and then we're going to go into our bursts. And we just want 1. And now you can see the number of particles kind of blips into 2 for like less than a second, less than even half a second. But when you look at it, it's just a single particle. Now we are going to get the renderer, and we want this to stay as a billboard, and normal direction is fine. Material. Now this is where we would substitute in different sprites. So let's see if I have something magic looking already. Magic? No, I don't. So at this point, right now, I'm going to just, what is that? That's weird looking. You can see, you can basically put in anything you want here. So this is where we would put our magical symbol. We can even put materials that have shaders on them, shader graphs. So I don't know if you can tell, but that's a scrolling noise map of some kind. Anyway, here's what I'm going to do. Really fast, I'm going to open up my obscure drawing program for anime, because, yeah, because who doesn't like anime? Hello? Doesn't seem like my drawing tablet is working, unfortunately. And we're going to create a new thing. So you don't need this to be very big, so I just make it 500 by 500. Oakley dokley. And let's see if we what's the photo generator made by OpenAI? I don't know. Let's go to photo image generator. Image generator OpenAI. Oh, it's Dalle. Dalle AI art. Oh, that's a song. We don't want that. Dalle AI art. Let's go there. Let's pop it open. I'm going to log in. Continue with Google. And we're going to say magical sigil. How do you spell sigil? Sigil? Look at that. Now those are pretty cool looking. Let's see what Dalle comes up with. Magical sigil bursting with color, realistic, arcane. Let's see what it poops out. All right, And the survey says, actually, this one's a pretty cool shape, but I just thought of something better. Because what we're going to want to do is, instead of saying bursting with color, we're going to want a white magical sigil on a black background. Because then what we can do is we can get rid of the black using just some material settings. Okay, this is pretty cool looking. What are we thinking? I think we can do this one. Well, no, we don't want that one because it's got messy edges. This one's pretty crisp. It does have a little bit of fading right there, but hopefully that won't be too bad. And it fills the thing pretty good. So let's download it. And then show in folder. And we're going to, there's two ways you can import stuff into Unity. The easiest way is to just have Unity open like that and then drag it in like that. And from here, I don't think I actually want it to be in the prefabs folder. So we're going to take it into the assets and we'll put it in. Do we have anything labeled materials? No. Let's create a materials folder. Folder, materials of Doom. And from here, all we have to do is we pop it open. And we say from grayscale. And alpha is transparency. And let's hit apply. And now we are only left with the white image. Now we can go to, and now we want to create a material. And this will be our magic sigil. I want to keep spelling that with an I for some reason. Sigil. With an I, not a Y. And I believe we're going to want this to be a particle. Unlit, I guess. Then we drag in the base map. Set this to transparent. Alpha clipping. And let's drag it onto that. Okay. And we can ignore that little rainbow there in the corner for now. That's pretty good. Now, the reason why we set it to be black with white foreground and black background is because now, when the particle is white, all you have to do to change its color is come to the start color and then just mess with it. And now this sigil can be any color that we want it to be. For now, I'm going to leave it as a purple. Actually, let's just set it to the same color as, we'll just set it to be very blue. By itself, kind of boring. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make a new particle system, Control D. Everything's the same, except we're going to swap out the magic sigil with a normal particle looking thing. I think it's called default, if I knew how to spell. Default particle. It doesn't like that one. Okay, default particle, pretty blue. Let's make it slightly larger. So start size. Where is that? There it is. And now what we do is we actually are going to make this slightly paler. And now it kind of looks like it's glowing. Now we want the ring that kind of shrinks in when when it happens, when it does stuff. Huh. Okay. Anyway, so we want our ring that shrinks in. Also, I just realized we have made a mistake. Because as you can see, when we restart our magic thing, it just is there. And that's because here in the emission tab, we have set it to be a burst. And that is no bueno. Well, actually, it might be okay. What we're going to want to do, actually, we can focus on this here in a second. Let's just get the big details out of the way first. We have our sigil, we have our glow, and now we want our shrinking ring around it to indicate when it's going to activate the spell. Once again, we create, well, we can actually just duplicate this. Control D. And now what we do, I'm going to set this to a contrasting color. And let's see, I wonder if I can reorder these to change which one is rendered first. No. Okay. I'm going to rename that to sigil, and I'm going to rename this one to glow. Oh, I lied. This one's not glow. This one is ring. This one is glow. Okay, so the ring. The ring is, we're going to need a ring texture. Let's check really fast if we have one already. So ring. We do not. Well, let's go to Dalle again. And let's say white magical ring. Ring symbol. And instead of arcane, we're going to say, what's the opposite of arcane? Well-known open. Okay, well, that's not helpful. We want something that contrasts to being arcane. So we would want it to be civilized, I guess, or orthodox. Let's call it orthodox. And see what it poops out. Okay, not what we're looking for. I guess we don't really need anything special for this. All we need to do is open our editing software of choice, and I'm going to try getting my drawing tablet to work. There it goes. All right, and making a ring is pretty simple. Even if you're just using paint, all you're going to do, if you're using paint, like Windows Paint, you just make the background black and do the grayscale thing that I showed you earlier. But if you're like me and you have some sort of drawing software. This is free, by the way. Then all you're going to do is you're going to get your brush, hey, make it very thick, and line up to the corner. You're going to want a white color. And make a nice, juicy circle. I'm going to make mine extra thick. I am not going to do that, actually. All right. And that's all we're really going to need to do. Big circle, easy to see for players. File, export as a PNG, transparent, and we can export it directly into our assets. So we should have our folder, materials of Doom, and file name. What the heck? That's weird. And we'll call this, oh, that's weird. It's a weird thing that pops up. Anyway, we're going to call this ring of Doom. Now we can go back in here, get our ring of Doom, and this time, since we actually have input texture, or input alpha, we just apply it. And, or we check alpha is transparency, and then hit apply. Now from there, go to our ring, and into the render section. Oh, one sec. We're going to duplicate our magical sigil material, and we're going to rename it. To rename something, you can either right-click on it and press rename, or you can hit F3, I believe. F2? F2. And this will be the ring material. Drag in the image, and then we can go to our ring particle system, and we're going to go to the material, and we're going to drag in our ring of Doom. Ring material, ring mat. Now, that's a little bit too bold, I think. So we can kind of go to the material, probably, and threshold doesn't do anything because it's just white black, but we can make it slightly more transparent. I don't know. That ring is too thick. So we're just going to come here and shrink it. Make another texture that's slightly smaller. What the heck? Why aren't you working? Oh, it's because I'm right-clicking. Not using the drawing tablet. Okay, so, go back to our shape and make a big old circle. Or not. Here's what I'm going to do, actually. I'm going to make a faded circle, I think. And then when you do it with a faded circle, you can use the threshold to adjust how thick it will be. And now, let's see. Get out of here. Give me my just normal brush. Hmm. There we go. Whatever. This is taking too long, and it's not really giving me the result I want. So, we're going to go to circle, and we're just going to chop a big chunk of this stuff out. There. And now, I'm going to go into the blur, and blur it. Ugh. Hmm. Blur it slightly just so it's kind of a smoother texture, not so sharp and bold. Alright, that's good enough. File, export, locally, and then we can just override the one we made earlier, and it should be different now. That's a little bit better. Okie dokie. We got our ring. I don't really like it, but it's there. Another thing to kind of fix this is we can just increase the size of the sigil like that, and the ring can be slightly less contrasted. Do a different color, maybe one that kind of goes with it more. And now we want the ring to shrink. Okay. Size over lifetime, right there. That's what we want. And we want to have it shrink, like that. Okay. Now, we don't just want it to shrink. I think it would look pretty cool if we had some sort of like whoosh, whoosh, a thing that pops out the moment that it, you know, the moment that it converges and explodes. Or then it would just look cool, trust me. So it would be like a little bit of a magical explosion. To contrast the shrinking in. A little bit of a burst. So we'll duplicate the ring, Control D, and we'll call this burst. And make it lowercase because all the other ones are lowercase for some reason. Now, in this, we do not want it to be a ring. So we'll just make it some default particles. Ah, if I knew how to spell. And let's see. Make these a bright type of blue thing. You can always adjust these colors later. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a bunch more of these things. So we're going to want to go to a mission, and we're probably going to want like maybe 10 of these bad boys. And don't want, and we're going to want a shape, not a cone. We're going to want it as a sphere. And we're going to want a pretty small sphere because we're going to have these exploding outwards. Now we go to our size over lifetime, and we do want them to shrink. So I guess we can keep that, but we want them to have a bit of a speed. So not simulation speed. We want start speed. I guess that's pretty good. I'm trying to remember if there's a way to make these like plop out kind of evenly distributed rather than randomly. Oh, let's do it. Hmm. That might be what does it, but I don't remember exactly. We're not going to worry about that right now. Okay. These bad boys are going to have a pretty short lifetime. And so we'll just say 0.5. And we want them to have a delay. So now if we select everything and we restart, huh, not quite right, is it? Well, what we need now is the ring not to loop quite so much. So we need to give it a slightly, I think we need to give it a delay after, which I think we can do in the emission. It's pretty warm. Oh, that's another thing. These particles are not going to loop. They will just reappear every time we use a spell. So our burst is going to need a start delay of 1 second. And now it explodes at the very end of the spell. Although I don't like how everything is like deleted all of a sudden. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to these three, the sigil, the glow, and the ring. And we're going to go down to the color over lifetime. We're going to check that. And all we're going to do is we're going to go to the top, add two of these alpha keys or whatever. And on the very edges, we're going to set the alpha to nothing. That way it kind of fades out a little bit. All right, now let's restart this. Hmm. Too fast. Hmm. Maybe it's just the orange outline that's making it weird. Yeah. Okay. Now, when we're kind of fine tuning colors and stuff, it is time to put the particle into your scene so that you can actually see how it looks with everything. So we're going to go to our player really quick, and we're going to take our prefab and I'm going to turn off gizmos really fast. And I'm going to hit play. And then I'm going to go into the scene view. And now I'm going to get all these, tell them to play. And you can see it's way too big, first off. But that's kind of why we have the empty, because we can scale it with just the empty. Oh, we did make a mistake there. We gotta reset all of these to actually be where the empty is. Okay. So far it looks like it's about twice as big as our character is, so we want it to be a quarter of its size. So we can put it in as 0.25 on the parent empty object. So 0.25, 0.25, 0.25. Now let's give it a test. Okay, well, I guess that doesn't do anything because it's just as big as it was before. Look, guys, I'm learning along with all of you as well. Well, all we need to do is just shrink the start size down. Start size is 2, so if we want it a quarter of 2.5, that would be 1.28, I think. That's just what my gut is telling me. So, or 0.128. I don't know. I'll just pull up my calculator right here. Which doesn't seem to... Yeah, pull out a calculator. What am I doing? We don't need to calculate it. We just need to look at it. Okay, so we're just going to shrink that bad boy down to, let's say, 0.2. There. How big is that? Too small. How about 1? It's getting there. 0.75. There. 0.75. That's pretty good. This one can probably shrink a little bit as well. We're going to call this one 1. Okay. The ring is about the same as the sigil was, so we're going to set it to 0.75. Really quick, I'm going to move it right on top of our character so that we can get the best possible scale, I guess. Also, one thing, little Unity quirk. When you get super close to a particle system, it starts to shrink. The way you fix that is just by setting the max particle size to 2. Now, when we get really close, still stays about the same size. Alright, I think we're a little small. So, we're going to come up, set the start size, 3D start size, or normal start size, to all of them to about 1. And I think that's just about perfect. And we're going to set them all to looping so that we can check it out in the game view. Okay, that ring I don't think is visible enough. So, I'm going to go to the ring, go to its color, and we're going to turn up its alpha and give it another try. Oh. Okay, so we got to apply those changes that we just made in the prefab. So we're going to change all of their sizes to 1. Just to 1. That's all we need. Okay? And we are going to set the ring to be fully visible. And now, oh, and we can set it to looping for now. So that we can watch it. All right. I think our glow is a little small. So we're basically just finagling now. We're going to set this to 2. And yeah, that'll probably be good. Let's give it a test. Survey says. Okay, it's a little better. And we're going to set the glow's color over time to match with the color for lifetime to match the sigil. So we're going to come to the sigil's color over lifetime. We're going to copy the module. Going to go into glow, and we are going to paste it. Now, let us take a look-ski. Think we're fading out too fast. So, just gonna go to both of these, come to the color over lifetime, and move that over. Okay, I'd say that's pretty good. Also, when you are making particles, these empty objects are pretty good for where you want to attach the sound effect. So you just make an audio source and then attach whatever sound you wanted there. I'm not going to do that in this video because I don't like audio very much. Okay. If you've made it this far in the video, will you please consider subscribing? I think we're actually going to do the shader graph for the summoning in magical objects. I think we're just going to do that in another episode, the next episode, which I will be making shortly. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all next time.